Many of us are enjoying AI. We're absolutely loving AI right now. It's blowing up. It's really streamlining the way that we edit, the way we do normal things that would typically take a lot longer are now simplified, and it's getting easier and easier to create amazing, mind blowing artwork. However, are we being aware of what we're actually feeding AI? Because generative fill is only as good as what we feed it. And what do I mean by that? Well, how are we using text prompts? How are we using the selections? Basically, generative fill AI, is only going to do what you tell it to do. So when you learn how to harness that power and use it wisely and to your best ability, that coupled with already having knowledge about Photoshop and how to use it effectively, all together will unleash amazing possibilities, endless possibilities that you could not even dream of. Let's go over some of the do's and don'ts of using generative fill AI. Number one, writing instructional text prompt. Generative fill AI is not the same as Alexa or ChatGPT or Jarvis.
Jarvis, you up?
Adobe outlines that for best results, it says to use descriptive nouns and adjectives in text prompts instead of instructive prompts like fill the area or create a scene. So basically, don't use instructional prompts whenever using generative fill. Don't say fill the area or create a scene. Adobe also brings out to write an effective text prompt to get amazing results. So it says stick to simple and direct language and use 3 to 8 words that include a subject and descriptors. Don't worry about adding commands like add or remove. Instead, just write what you want to see. For example, you can write a prompt that says a house in the woods. And if you want, add descriptive keywords. For example, red house in the woods. Then click generate and click to see generate to see multiple different options or variations. Adobe also brings out another tip that we should leave the text entry prompt box blank after clicking generate if we want the selection to be filled based on the surrounding pixels in your image. So say for instance you want to remove an object, you don't really have to add remove object because the generative fill AI will use the surrounding pixels of your image and it will put two and two together that you want to remove whatever you selected. So number two is misspelling text prompts. This is a huge one that I've even fell victim to sometimes messing up because it can be so easy to misspell something. However, generative fill AI is not a spell checker. It does not auto correct your spelling, so you have to make sure that each time you use it, you always spell your words or your text prompts correctly, or else it will generate literally whatever you type in there. For example, I typed in the text prompt or attempted to type in the text prompt desert and I put dessert. I misspelled desert and put dessert. And so instead of a desert being generated, I got some weird looking cake. And that's obviously not what I was looking for. So the AI will generate literally whatever you type in there. So you just got to be extra careful. Always try to double check, triple check, make sure you spell it right so that you're generating what you actually want and not random stuff. Number three is making improper selections. This is super, super important. So here's why. What I see a lot of people do whenever using generative fill is they come up here, they grab the marquee tool, and then they make a selection. Say, for instance, they're adding an object to the photo. They take the marquee tool and then they type in the text prompt box, whatever they want, and they generate an image. That's fine and dandy, but that's not really how you make a proper selection. To really make a proper selection, you want to use the lasso tool. So now I'm going to show you the proper way of using a selection. We generated a cat, however, say for instance we wanted the cat facing a different or the opposite direction. Maybe we wanted it sitting instead of standing. All those little details, if you just were to grab the lasso tool, use the lasso tool, and make a selection using the lasso tool, you have much more control instead of just leaving it up to chance for the generative fill AI to decide and have it decide something on a whim. You can make a selection using the lasso tool, outline how you want your subject to be. Say, for instance, you want your cat facing to the right. You can draw that actually out, outlining, making a selection, outlining that using the lasso tool, and then you have a much better chance of the AI generating exactly what you asked for. So that's why it's so important to make proper selections using the lasso tool. And I've just done that, showing an example with the cat. And now I've regenerated using the lasso tool. I've outlined it the way I wanted. And now we see that it is facing right the way I want it. And it's also standing. So that's some cool things you can do when you use your selections properly. So for this other example, say I'm removing an object. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to use my lasso tool, and then I'm actually going to select or outline my object by making a selection using the lasso tool around them instead of using the marquee tool, because that's not really the correct way. That way I can seamlessly either remove or add an object, and it will look a lot better, and it really helps the AI to generate much better compared to if I were to use the marquee tool. Number 4 is assuming it's a one-click solution. So generative fill AI is not as easy as just a wave of the wand. It's not
Of my
like
stick
a
and
presto
finish
and
the
you're
trick.
done.
Bibbidi bobbidi, bibbidi bobbidi, boom.
It takes a little bit more effort, and there has been countless occasions where I've had to generate and regenerate and continue getting different variations until I got what I was really looking for. And that's okay, that's kind of expected. It's very important to remember that this is still in beta, so it's not perfect. There's going to be times where it just misses the mark, and until it's out of beta, that's just to be expected. So we cannot expect perfection. It's still constantly being updated quite frequently, so we're gonna have constant updates until it's fully released and out of beta. So just keep trying to use it as much as you can effectively to your best ability, but don't always expect it to be absolutely flawless with no imperfections, because that's just not very realistic. And now we've reached mistake number 5, last but not least, using 100% intensity. What exactly does that mean? So let's say I had a photograph where it was taking place underwater and I just generated a school of fish in Photoshop beta. Now, looking at the photograph, the school of fish look very dark, and there's like a little shimmer or glimmer of light coming from up above, and I want to show more of the fact that that lighting reflected in the school of fish, because right now they're currently just like very dark and black, which is probably not very realistic. So what I would do is decrease the intensity. Instead of it being at a 100% intensity like it is, I would reduce it maybe 40 or 50%. And let's see how to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is select the foreground color picker. I'm going to go into where it's the white area is, and I'm going to change it to 40% instead of 100%, and then I'm going to click OK. So what we're essentially doing is applying the generative fill at 40% intensity instead of 100%. And now I've generated a whole new school of fish. This first variation is hard to see, so I'm just going to go to the second and the third one. Now the third one I like the most because it has nice like highlights and shadows and shows like as if the reflections from the sun. It really marries well and it looks very realistic. So just decreasing that intensity really made a huge difference. Well, that is it for this video. I hope you learned something new. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do not forget to like and subscribe if you aren't already so you don't miss out on any future videos I have going on. Go ahead and ring that bell, and I will catch y'all in the next one.
Listen.